Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining. We're very excited to be here with you today for our very first KWL Hub platform training session of this summer or this fall. And so we've got the next 60 minutes together. And this is the agenda. So this is how we're going to spend that time. As you can see, we're starting right on time and we're aiming to end right on time and get you out of here in 60 minutes. So we've got a quick welcome and introduction. You can meet your presenters and then we'll go over the session norms. And then we're going to spend the bulk of the session in kind of a presentation about the KWL Hub, reviewing some features and seeing some new ones. Then we will have some time dedicated for questions and answers. And of course, we will end with a very quick wrap up and then kind of providing the resources that we have available to you. And so for those of you who have not met me, my name is Sarah Stefanich, and I am our implementation manager here at KWL Languages. I am based in Chicago, and my background is in Spanish language and linguistics and teaching. I have my PhD in Spanish linguistics from the University of Illinois at Chicago, with a focus in second language acquisition and bilingualism. And so as a part of that, I spent over 10 years teaching Spanish to different universities and colleges here in the Chicagoland area. I am very much a language nerd, as I like to call myself. And so at different points in my life, have studied French, Russian, Basque, and Portuguese, in addition to Spanish, of course. And I am also an avid reader. So if you were to ask me what my hobby is, I would probably tell you that I like to read. So I'm very happy to be here with you today. And then I'm going to pass it over to my colleague so that he can introduce himself.
Thank you, Sarah. So hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Woods. I'm one of the EdTech operations specialists here at KWL Languages. I am based on the West Coast in Los Angeles. And just a little bit about my background. I come from education, I come from teaching. I have a master's in educational pedagogy, and I have a very strong passion for technology in the classroom. So while I was a classroom teacher, I became a Google certified teacher and Google certified trainer. And I have about 8 years teaching experience in Title I elementary schools based in Los Angeles. And I'm very excited to be here to help you all out.
Perfect. Thanks, Matthew. So Matthew and I are your presenters today. And here we have our session norms. So a little bit about kind of what this session is going to look like. So the first thing to note is that this session is geared toward teachers with previous experience on the KWL Hub. So that means maybe you taught last year or in the spring or over the summer, and now you're a returning teacher and you're going to be teaching, of course, using the KWL Hub again this fall or this school year. And as I mentioned earlier, we have about 35 minutes are going to be dedicated to a presentational review of the KWL Hub with a focus on those new updates and new features that have come out over the past 6 to 12 months. So that's very exciting. And then we do have that 15-minute Q&A session at the end. So we ask all of you, please put your questions in that Q&A box that you should see in the bottom. Matthew is going to be manning that for us. So he might respond to you directly, if it's a quick, easy question, or we'll save it to the end to take a look at during that Q&A session. And you also might notice that if you try and click on the chat, that it's disabled. And this is just to help Matthew and myself kind of streamline everything into one spot so that we can make sure we answer all of your questions. And what else? Yes, this session is recorded. So we're recording right now, and both the slide deck and the recording are going to be shared with you after the session, probably sometime next week. And then lastly, I want to mention that even though this session is geared towards teachers with that previous experience, if you are a first-time user, you don't have to kind of log out and say goodbye. We very much would love to have you here with us for this time. You will learn things that are going to be very useful and of interesting to you as well. But we do wanted to kind of highlight that if you are that first-time user, or if you need additional support on what we'll call KWL Hub Basics, that you can check out our Getting Started guide for teachers that we have, and or reach out to your dedicated sales consultant for assistance. So Matthew's putting some information in the chat for you right now. And we'll go ahead and dive in. Okay. So for our first part here, we're going to focus, as you can see, on this idea of getting started, back to school. So what is it that you need to do as a teacher kind of to prep for this new school year, this semester, this fall? And there's a couple very basic steps that you need to do that are kind of essential. And so we're going to focus on those essentials. And what we're going to see is that the steps that you need to take are going to be dependent upon what type of user you are on the platform. And so you've got a little bit of a flow chart here, and we will go through each of these scenarios, but we can say that there's kind of three different types of teachers. So I've got my blues, my yellows, and then my greens. And so my blues, these are teachers if you have some type of rostering and integration set up. So this means that your students are not purchasing their materials. The school or the district is purchasing those materials on behalf of the students, and there is some type of integration set up. Might be Clever, ClassLink, Canvas, Schoology. It can be a list of software sources there that automatically kind of passes over your roster, your classes, and your list of students from your school or district system. My yellow teachers, you are the ones where your students do purchase their own materials. And so they have a book access code that they will need to activate to get access. And there is no type of integration system that does the rostering in your classes for you, so that you're in charge of those as well. And then my green teachers, you, as you might guess from the color, are a combination of the blue and the yellow. And so that hybrid scenario is your students do purchase, or their families purchase the materials for themselves, but you also have a type of system that creates your classes and does your rosters for you. And so depending on which scenario you are, there's a couple different steps that you need to take for this back to school, kind of get yourself set up. So we're going to take a quick look at each of these. So our first one, these are, again, my blue teachers here, the ones who have that rostering or integration. So again, your students do not need to purchase their materials. The school or district does that on their behalf. And you have this system that magically transfers over your rosters and your list of students, your classes, into the KWL Hub. And so if this is you, there are two things that you need to do to make sure that you're all set up for back to school. And the first one is that you need to confirm that your classes in your roster have transferred over. And again, that's automatic with that integration, but it is part time dependent. And so your school will have a certain date in which they're going to activate, the new classes for the fall. So if you don't see them there just yet, you want to double check with your district admin, your IT, to see kind of what that date is and when you could expect those classes to appear. And when that date does kind of pass, you will log into your account. And then you'll come to our menu that you can see here, and you will click on roster, and then you will go over to my classes. And when you do that, you will be taken to the classes page, and you'll see a list of classes such as the one you see here. And so you'll be able to check in that column. Do you have all your classes for the fall? And then also, do you have all the students? Does your rosters match? Is everybody where they need to be? Once you do this, the second step is to assign a book to your class. So you have to give your students access to those materials. Very simple. You're going to come back to that menu, and this time you'll be under content, and you will click on assign books. When you do that, it'll take you to the assign books page, which will look something like this. On the left, you'll have the books that you're teaching with, and then you will follow the steps over here in our little box on the right to select the book and then pick the class that you would like to assign it to. And then you hit that assign button, and you are good to go. You've got your classes, your students are there, and your students have access to the materials. If you are one of my yellow teachers, so as a reminder, this means that your students do need to purchase their materials, or their families are purchasing their materials for them. So they have to activate those materials. And you as the teacher are going to have access codes. You're going to set up your classes yourself. And so that first step that you need to do is to create those classes for the new school year, for the new semester, and generate a class code to share with your students. So to do that, you're going to be in that main menu under roster, and you will click on my classes. That'll take you over here to your classes page, where you will click on the add class button. Then you will type in the name of your new class. So for the purposes of today, I just made one that said new class fall 2025. You'll hit save. And when you do that, you'll have that new class over on your classes menu. And then you need to generate that class code. So in this table that you'll see there on the right-hand side, you'll have the box that you can see here in red that says class code. You will hit that button that says generate. And then as you can see here, you'll have a little code that gets generated. And then this will be what you share with your students. And your students can then use this class code to create their accounts if they are first-time users, or if they are returning users, they can add this class code into their account or activate it to join your class. And then when students do that, the last step is actually something that your students need to do. And this is that your students need to activate their book access code, so the code that they purchase, so that they have access to those materials. And so it's very easy for students to do this. When they log into their account, they have this menu on the top right. And so they'll come over into their profile. They will click on My Account. Then it will take them to a page where they will see these boxes that they manage access code. And so this add book access code is where they can copy and paste in the code that they purchased that gives them access to those materials. And as I mentioned, if they are a returning user, and so they need to join a new class, so last year they were in French 1 and this year now they're in French 2, they can do that from this same page where it says add class code. For my third group of teachers, you are our hybrid teachers. So you're kind of green, that combination of the two previous scenarios. So in this scenario, your students are purchasing, or their families are purchasing their materials, but there is also the system that creates the classes and does the rostering for you. And so this process is a little bit different in the step that it's actually your students that need to do something first. And so what that is that your students need to log in to the LMS. So whether that's Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle, Schoology, whatever it might be. And then once they're in your course, in that LMS, there will be a KWL Hub icon, and they need to launch that. So they have to go into the KWL Hub for the first time from that LMS. When they do that, it automatically creates the student account and rosters them into that class for you on the KWL Hub. So it's very important for students that you kind of tell them in this scenario, wait till the first day of class, and maybe you kind of plan to do this with them in class that first week, or you make it kind of part of their homework for them to log into the KWL Hub through their LMS to create that account. And then once you have your students do that, you can confirm your roster, make sure everything matches up. And then here, the last step that students need to do is, of course, activate that book access code so that they have access to the materials. And they do that following the same steps we just saw, where they come into their account, they go to their profile, click on My Account, and then they add in that code in the Add Book Access Code area. And then that's everything. They're all set up and you are ready to go. And so that was very quick. Hopefully that just jogged your memory a little bit about kind of, oh yeah, that's right, this is what we need to do. Very easy. But if you need additional assistance getting started, as I mentioned earlier, we have our KWL Hub teacher and student guides. So these will help you kind of follow these steps based on which of these use case scenarios you are. You can also reach out to your dedicated sales consultant. You can ask the chatbot in the KWL Hub, and you can see here the little icon that indicates the chatbot. And this is a great question for it. And of course, if you have any difficulties, you can fill out our customer support form, and Matthew or a member of our EdTech team will get back to you and will help you out. And so with that, we are now going to move into kind of the fun part of the session, where we're going to talk a little bit about new features and new updates. So what is new? So from last year to this year, kind of what changes might you see on the KWL Hub? And to do this, we're going to focus on 3 concrete areas. We're going to focus on assignment creation, the gradebook, and we're going to also show you the new UI UX, so the new layout for students. In that assignment creation section, we're going to take a look at the following 4 things. The fact that you can now create assignments directly from within the course player, that your assignment settings save for you in the same session. You have the option to now apply an automatic late work penalty, and you have the option to direct link your assignment. And then within the gradebook, we're going to take a look at 3 new things: how we reassign student work, how we can do some inline grade editing, and how we can do some bulk grading or quick grading. And then once we get to the new UI UX, I will show you what that looks like, and we'll talk a little bit about what those changes are. All right, and so from here, I'm now going to hop over onto the KWL Hub, and we can take a look at all of this together. Okay, so hopefully you are now seeing the KWL Hub. This is my teacher account. And so of course, at KWL Languages, I have our full library of books, which is why you see you know, almost 50 some books here. You in your account will have the books that you are teaching with. And the first thing that I mentioned, we're going to talk about are those assignments. And so previously, if you wanted to create an assignment, you had to come over here to assignments and then create assignment. And then you clicked on create new assignment and you followed all of the steps there. Now, something that you can do is you can create assignments and assign them directly from within the course player or from within a book. And so we're going to take a look at what that looks like. So to do so, I'm going to come to content in my books. And then we are going to demo with Reporteros 1, just because this is the book that I always pick to demo everything with. And as a reminder, that course player opens up to wherever you were the last time you were in the book. So earlier, when I was rehearsing for our session today, I was playing around, and so it took me right back to where I was. And so you have all the same menu over here on the left-hand side, your ebooks, your interactive student book, your interactive workbook, if you're working with one of the books where that's available, and then all the other resources available to you. And now what's new is up here on the right-hand side, hopefully you're following with my cursor, where it says drafts and create new assignment. So from anywhere in Reporteros 1 or whatever book it might be, you have the option to create a new assignment. So this is very nice. You don't have to leave and come back and kind of be moving back and forth or have two different tabs open to be in two different spots on the platform at the same time. So hopefully this streamlines your planning process a little bit. And so you can create a new assignment if I'm in the ebook, but this feature has like an added bonus if you're actually in one of the interactive books. So whether that's the student book or workbook. Currently, we're in the interactive student book in unit 2. And then I'm going to go to Te Gusta Bailar. So this is pages 78 and 79. We can see that I've got a couple of activities here. So a recording activity for students, kind of a matching activity, fill in the blank. And let's say I want to assign this to my students. I'm going to make an assignment and use it as classwork. I can come over here and I can click on create new assignment. And then as a reminder, you always want the graded assignment option. So click that. And then directly right from here, it opens up that assignment workflow for you, so you don't have to leave. So we're going to call this Spanish 1 assignment number 1 for today. That graded assignment is pre-selected. You could add an assignment category, add a description. And then you see here, it already knows what book I'm in, so it does that for you. And the bonus from doing this from within the interactive book or the interactive workbook is that you can see down here, it has pre-selected all of the activities for me on this page. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to accept all of these activities. So let's say I just want to do the auto-graded ones on this page, for instance. I can uncheck the teacher-graded ones. I could also add in some workbook activities or different activities. So I'll do that right now. I'm going to go into the workbook, chapter 2, find Te Gusta Bailar, and then I can add more activities as I would like. Once you've selected all of the activities that you would like to include in this assignment, you're going to come up to your settings. And by default, all of our settings are off. And so I'm just going to run you through these real quick. Allow activity skip. When it's off, it means that students have to do the activities in the order in which they appear, which is going to be in kind of chronological numerical order. So number 2, number 3, and then number 4. If I turn this on, it means that activity number 2 is still going to open first, but they can take a look, skip it, see what the next activity is, maybe complete that one, go back. Offers them that flexibility. Shuffle activity. This randomizes the order in which the activities appear for your students. Assignment summary. I always recommend that you turn this on, and we'll see an example of what this looks like. But basically, it means that once your students complete the activity, they have to look at this assignment summary, which gives them some very useful information about like their total score, how many activities they completed, if they skipped any, what ones might still need to be graded by the teacher, and so on. Multiple attempts. By default, it's off. Students have 1 attempt. I can turn this on, and I can change the number of attempts that I would like to allow my students to do up until 99 attempts. Hopefully, No student ever needs that 100th attempt to complete the homework or classwork. And then hide responses. This is a new setting that you might not have seen yet. And so by default, this is off. And so what that means is that when your students submit their assignment, they can then review their work, see how many they got correct and incorrect, and see what the correct answers are. Now, let's say that you don't want to do that. That you don't want students to be able to see, the correct answers until everybody in the class has had time to complete the work. You can turn on this hide responses button, and then it gives you the option to select the date. I'm going to hide my responses for this assignment until whatever day it might be. And so let's say that this assignment we are creating is going to be due this Thursday, July 24th. So maybe I'll hide the responses until Friday the 25th, and then I can pick whichever time I would like. And then custom message, if you turn that on, you can specify a grade range, and then any student who scores within that grade range will receive the message that you type. So I'm going to leave that off for now. And I think I skipped one earlier, time limit in minutes. This 0 is the default, means that it is unlimited time. But you can add a time limit. So if you're creating an assignment that's going to be some classwork, and you say, you know what, we're going to have 15 minutes at the end of class or in the middle of class or the beginning to do some activities, you can set that time limit so that your students adhere to it and you kind of keep class moving nice and easily. But for now, I'm going to leave it as unlimited. So I have all my settings. Now I'm ready. I can hit create assignment. Do I want to finalize? Yes. And now it says, the assignment has been created successfully. Would you like to assign it now? And you have two options. Yes, assign, or go back to book. And so this is very much like you are online shopping and you add something to your cart. And then it says, do you want to check out now? Or do you want to continue shopping? So yes, assign is saying, I want to check out now. And go back to book is saying, no, I want to keep shopping. So we're going to hit yes, assign. And you can see our assignment window pops up. And I can select the class that I would like to assign this to. By default, you have that available date and time as the day and time you are doing the assigning. You can select that due date and time. So I said that we were going to make this due July 24th, let's say 3 p.m. And then you have this box, this option available after due date. If I leave it unchecked, once this due date, once July 24th at 3 p.m. passes, this assignment locks and students are no longer able to open it, complete it, do anything with it. If I want to offer my students the ability to do work after the due date, I can check that box. And now this is new that you see here. You have the option to apply an automatic late work penalty to your students. And so you can see that this assignment that I made was out of 28 points. So it allows me to indicate, how many points I want to penalize and what the percentage is of that. And so if I type in 4 points, that's 14%, but maybe I'm like, ooh, that's too steep. 11%, 2.5, 9, okay, yeah, 3, that's great. Oops, 23, no. So I'm going to give them, an 11% penalty if they turn this in late. And then I say at what point that penalty applies. And so if this is due on July 24th at 3 p.m., I can say that, this late work penalty applies after July 24th at 3 p.m. Or you can have some more flexible. So you can have kind of soft deadlines, hard deadlines. You can play around with that a little bit based on your needs. So I'm going to go hit assign. And we're all good. And so that has been created and assigned to my students. And now I can keep on doing what I was doing in the course book. I can go to another page and can continue creating my assignments, doing my course planning. So let's say I do that and I want to assign the activities that are on this page. So to do that, I will come back over here to create new assignment, graded assignment. And then I almost forgot what I labeled this earlier, but we'll say it's assignment number 2. I've got my things pre-checked. And this is also something that's new. If I click on settings now, you see that those settings that we just walked through and that I applied are still there. They have saved for me. This is awesome. The only thing to note for this is that it saves within a single session. So I am creating all of my assignments today. I'm gonna log in, boom, 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 knock them out. It saves my settings. When I log out, it wipes those settings and allows you to start over. So keep that in mind. This is a great tool, I think, to kind of facilitate that planning process, the creating and the assigning process for you. You can, of course, change them here at any time, but it does save them for you. And so with this one, if this is my next assignment, I probably need to update my date here under my hide responses. So if our other one was due Thursday, let's say this one's going to be Tuesday. So I'm going to hide responses until the 30th at 3 p.m. And then I'm good. And I can create my assignment. And now we're going to go back to book. We're going to keep shopping. And I'll show you what happens with that. So if I click go back to book, I've created this assignment. I can continue creating assignments. Let's say I want to assign them, at a later date or as the course goes and develops. You absolutely can do that. Where do you find those though? That's a good question. So let me show you. To do that, we're going to leave our book, leave the course player, and we're going to come back over to our assignments and our create assignment page. And then here you see those two assignments that we just created together, Spanish 1 assignment number 1, Spanish 1 assignment number 2. This is the one that we assigned to my class, so you can see that there. This one has been created, but we can see that it doesn't have an assigned to and it doesn't have a due date. And so now that I'm ready, I can go ahead, click my little 3 lines here, and I have those options. I could edit this assignment if I needed to. I could make a copy of it, and I can assign it to my class. And so it's the exact same process. I said this one was going to be due the 29th, 3 o'clock, available after due date. And again, you can apply that penalty if you would like to your work, and then you hit save. Oops, I have to select a class first. That would be useful. There we go. And now we're good to go. So offers you a lot of flexibility, a lot of ability, to move back and forth and to plan at your leisure, which is really nice. And then the last thing that I wanted to highlight and to mention here in this assignment section is about direct linking. And so we created and assigned these 2 assignments here. And if I come to my menu, you see this icon that looks like a little like chain link type thing. And if I hover over it, it says copy shareable link. I'm going to click that. And now up here, you says that it's been copied successfully. And I can paste that link wherever I would like. And so if you have your class set up that you use Canvas or you use Google Classroom or whatever it might be, and so students are used to going there to access links to homework and activities, you can paste the link there and students can click on it. And it will first, if they are not logged in, we'll ask them to log into the KWL Hub, and then they will click the link again and it will take them right to that assignment so that they can complete it. So this is a great option that you have available to kind of streamline things, especially if you're having them be on their devices in class, you can really get them to where they need to go very easily. So again, that's clicking the 3 lines here and then copying the direct link. So with that, I'm going to bring you back over into our slideshow. We have reviewed all of these amazing new features here under our assignment creation category. Creating assignments directly from within the course player. Those assignment settings save in that same session. You can apply that automatic late work penalty, and you have the option for direct linking of assignments. Since we're going to share the slides with you, we've included some extra information here in the slide deck. So we went through these assignment settings, but here we have a key for you on the right-hand side. I mentioned that assignment summary, if you turn that on, this is an example of what your students get once they submit their assignment. They get this really nice color-coded summary that gives them their score. This one had 2 activities. One was entirely correct. One was partially correct. They didn't skip any. Nothing needs to be graded. This is how long they spent on it. So that's very nice information for students. And then also, as you are in that create assignment page, if you want to edit or do any of those icons, we also give you a little key here for what each of those icons mean. And so now I'm going to hop back over onto the KWL Hub, and we're going to take a look at the gradebook. Okay, and so to get to my gradebook, you go to assignments, and then you click on gradebook. And then you're going to click on classes. And here we are. One of the things you might have noticed is that the date range freezes for you. So it does the first 6 months of the year, and then it does the second 6 months of the year. So that's really nice. We've got all of my classes here. I'm going to click on one of my classes. This one only has 2 students, myself and Frida Kahlo. And we've got a couple of new icons here that might be drawing your attention. One of those icons is this pencil button. And so if I click the pencil button, we can see that it opens up a couple of boxes in my gradebook for me to edit grades to students. So obviously, if a student hasn't attempted the activity, it doesn't allow you to edit it. There's nothing to edit. And if it has not been assigned, you can't edit it. And if you need to grade something as the teacher, it will also not open it and let you edit it yet until you grade everything. Makes total sense. But here you go. If you want to, for this one, if you want to give extra points, extra credit, if instead, 50% is the minimum that you're allowed to give students, and so you want to move everything to 50%, or if you want to do a pass-fail type of thing with your grades, you can easily go in and edit those grades. So this one said 10 out of 20. I changed it to 15, and I hit save, and there we go. Now we've got that new percentage. So that is that inline grade editing with the pencil. And you can also bulk grade. And so you can see right now that this is grayed out. So if I click on it, nothing happens. And that's because you have to select the assignment first. What assignment do you want to bulk grade? Or I think it's easier to think of it as kind of quick grading. So I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to find this assignment, Spanish 103 Fall 25. So I'm going to clear all and then go find that. And it is in alphabetical order. So here we go. Apply. And now I'm looking at just that assignment that I selected, and you see that the bulk grade is now dark blue. I can click on it. And then I'm going to go back real fast. You can see that Frida didn't do this activity, but my Sarah student did. And so when I click on bulk grade, Sarah's the only one that appears, but if Frida had done the activity, she would be here as well. You've got their current score and you've got the maximum score. So you can check all of the boxes of the students and then select the score that you want to give them. So let's say I want to give 100% here. I can type in 16 and hit save. And now we see that that has been updated to 100%. So that is that bulk grading or that quick grading for an assignment. And then the last thing in the gradebook that we want to highlight is the ability to reassign students' work. And so to do that, you will click on your student. And then I'm going to reset this so that we can see all of my assignments. And when this loads, you'll see that the student is not a very good student. They have done a lot of things late and they have missed a lot of homework assignments. So you see the assignment name, the assignment due date, and then the submission date. And so these ones that are grayed out with the line, my student has not done this. The ones where there is a date and it is in orange means that my student has done this late. So very visually, you can see the student is not doing too hot. And then if there is a date and it is in white, it means that they have submitted it and it is on time. You've got your student score, activities, correct answer, and now this new column called reassign. And so from here, you're able to reassign a student's work. So I can reassign these ones that the student hasn't done, and I can give it a new day and time. And you see that changed, and now it's going to reload, and it changed the due date for me. And you can also reassign students work that they have done it, and maybe they didn't do too hot, right? And so, they get a 30%. So maybe my student, comes to me and says, oh, this one, it's 41.45, like, can you reset that? I didn't do too hot. And I can say, yes, of course. Let me reset that for you, and they can do that. And if you do reset students' work, it wipes out all of their previous attempts. So it resets it entirely, and then it lets them do it from scratch. So keep that in mind that it will erase a score if they had a previous score. All right. So to summarize, we took a look now at the grade book, and we looked at reassigning student work, that inline grade editing, and that bulk grading, or that quick grading feature. And now we're going to pop back over one last time to take a look at the new UI UX for students. And so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and log out of my teacher account, and then I'm going to log in to my student account. And so my student is already in the new UI UX, so the new layout, the new interface, whatever you'd like to call it. And you see it gives them this red message here that says you are now using a new interface. You can switch back to the previous version from your profile settings. So this new interface is a new kind of user experience, a new design for students. It's a bit more user-friendly, it's a bit nicer, it's updated, it kind of streamlines things. And so we are launching this for students this fall. And so your students, by default, will most likely be pushed into this new interface. You have the option, and so do your students, to change back to the old interface, or stay in the new interface, or change back and forth as needed. We recommend that you go ahead and you just move your students onto the new interface because it will be a better, more positive experience for them. But you have that choice. You don't have to do that. And it's very easy to switch them back and forth. You do that from your profile. And so your profile is your little person icon that's in the top right. I click on that. I have an option that says change to old version. I click. It's going to ask me, do you want to go to the old version? I go, yes. And now my old version is activated. And so this is what students previously looked at. And you can see again, my student has all my books. And students can switch in either direction, same exact process. So if I'm in the old UX UI, the old layout, and I want to switch to the new one, I come to my profile and I click change to new version. And it says, do you want to change? And I'm going to go, yes. New one activated. And so here we are. So you can see visually a couple differences right off the bat. Kind of the books are a bit more vertical listed instead of horizontal. This most likely is not going to affect your students because they probably don't have the 50 books that I have in my student account. So they'll just have the one that they need front and center. And then we can see a streamlined menu for students up top. So they've got that library. That's what we are looking at right here. And I can search to find if you do have multiple books to get right to where you want to go. You have your assignments window, and this is all the same as it was before. So we've got our upcoming assignments. These are all the ones that I have assigned to the students. You can sort them by due date, assigned date, or title, and it gives us lots of information. Let me scroll down to this one, for instance. It gives us the due date. Says this one's late. This was a couple days ago. How many activities there are, if there is a time limit, and it also tells students if there is a penalty applied if they don't complete the homework on time or the assignment on time, and when it was assigned. Missing, same as before. If you do not check that box, available after due date, students miss the due date, the assignment moves over here to missing. I click on it, and it says the due date has passed. You cannot submit the assignment. Submitted. They have turned it in, but there is something that you as the teacher need to grade. And graded, this is either it was all auto-graded activities, so it immediately moved over here once they submitted it, or you had to grade something and you've already done that. So we can see the same view for students, very straightforward. Lets them know I've already started this one, resume versus start, you haven't started this one. And they have their gradebook view here, very similar to what they had before. Just kind of gives them that information that they need, the activity title, they can click on it to enter their score, the number of activities, and how many they got right. And so to enter a book and open up all the access, it's the exact same as before. So we're going to find reporteros. And you can click on the link that says open book, or you can click on the book itself. And it takes us right into our course player. All the content is the exact same. It's just got a little bit of a different look and feel. So you can see, for instance, instead of the little caret arrows, now we have a plus and a minus to open these sections. This blue menu that says contents, resources, bookmarks, notes, highlights, and search. Some of this was vertical on the left-hand side before, and now it's on the top. And then if students want to leave a note or they want to use the highlight annotations tool, those buttons are down here in the bottom left. So I can click the add note, click the page to leave a note. I can open up the annotations tool. Otherwise, everything is pretty much the same. The bookmark icon is a bit more straightforward. They can still flip through the pages. They can still, access audio that's linked in there directly or videos that are linked in there directly. You have your interactive books, all of the resources. They can zoom in, zoom out, 1 page, 2 pages. So it's just a different and updated look and feel for your students. So we wanted you to be aware of this so that if you're looking over your student's shoulder or impersonating a student and it looks a little different than what you're previously used to, you know probably what's going on. Or if a student says, mine looks different, it's because they're either in the new UI UX and should be in the old one or vice versa. And so with that, we are wrapping up here. And so for this new UI, new UX, because it's something that is brand new, we have a lot of resources for you. And so Matthew's going to put a couple of these in the chat for us right now. The best one is our KWL Hub blog, because this has a user guide and a video linked in it right there for you. And we're going to be hosting a full-on webinar solely dedicated to this new student layout on August 7th. So be on the lookout as well if you're subscribed to our marketing newsletter for the information about that webinar, or you can write to your sales consultant to get the sign up link if you'd like to learn more about the new interface. Here are the features and updates that we have taken a look at: assignment creation, gradebook, and then that new layout for students. And really quickly, we're going to move into our Q&A in a second. But of course, we've got some new releases that will be coming out over the next school year. And so a skills portfolio, some folder management options, categories for the gradebook, and a new layout for teachers. So those are kind of forthcoming that you can put on your radar. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the new features, the KWL Hub blog is the best place to be. And so now we're going to turn into our Q&A session. So if you have any questions about what we saw, if you'd like me to revisit anything, feel free to use that Q&A box that we have down on the bottom to submit those questions. And Matthew and I will go through them and we'll answer all the questions that you may have. So we'll give you guys about a minute or so. If you have any questions, feel free to put those in there. And I'm going to go ahead and take us out of the screen share real quick. Okay. So Matthew, do we have any questions?
Yes, we have one from Morgan. I pinned this one so we can refer back to it during our Q&A. So Morgan is asking, once we set up our assignments for a book/workbook, can we save them in a class and then use that class with the set assignments in the future? If yes, is there a quick and easy way to update all of the assignment dates? A page where you can see all of them and click no, switch the dates, rather than doing it manually one at a time. So if you want to address that one.
Yeah. So there are a couple of different ways to do this based on whether you kind of what context you teach in. If you are a K-12 teacher or if you teach in higher ed. And so I'm going to go back and share my screen and take us back into the hub here. And give me 1 second to go back to my teacher account. There I am. So what I would recommend doing for this case is you can't necessarily reuse the same class year after year, but you can reuse the same assignments. And so what I would recommend is from assignments and then create assignment, is that you can put together your assignments that you want for your class. And one of the things that you can do is that you can label them with an assignment category. So it could be something like, if you teach Spanish, Spanish 1, Chapter 1, Spanish 1, Chapter 2, or Spanish 2, Chapter 1, or it could be a semester, right? Fall or spring or a year, whatever you want to give that category. And then when you create your assignments, you would kind of have that as a template here. And so imagine I did that and I created all my homework for my Spanish 1 course. And so if I don't want to assign those to my students directly because I want to keep them as a template to be able to kind of reuse and make those easy changes moving forward, as I can do that from here. And so I would make that assignment, and then I would duplicate it, which is this button here. And so then you can make a copy, and you could use the copy of that assignment for that course. And so then you could give this a different category so you can keep them separate. The other ones could say template, for instance. And that way you can always just make those new copies of the assignments, change whatever you want to change, and then assign it to your students, adjusting those dates for the new course. This is kind of the best and recommended path, instead of reusing the exact same assignments and reassigning them in new classes. It's recommended to kind of clone and to update them like that. And then Matthew, I don't know if you want to add any thing to this here.
No, I think that was
I
a
can
very good
also
explanation.
can select these assignments, and then what do I want to do with it? Oops, yeah. And then you can select multiple ones to, oops, now I'm previewing. And then what we're going to be having, one of those upcoming features is those folders. And so you'll be able to put your assignments into different folders. And so then it'll be really easy. And then with the folder management tool, you will be able to do things like, assign all of these assignments at once to a class, or kind of make those changes on a more of a mass level. And so that is a feature that they are building in to kind of streamline and make that even easier. So for right now, for this fall, I would say, kind of the path that I've laid out for you in terms of making those copies and using a template. And then once that folder management is live, so let's say in January, in spring, it should be live by then, I believe so. You have that folder management option, which will make it even easier.
All right, thank you, Sarah. That actually flows nicely into our next question from Floor. They're asking, when we teach 2 courses, how can we separate the assignments by folders? I know that's kind of, you were touching on that.
Yes, and so with the folder management option, you'll be able to kind of create and kind of have 2 different folders. So like a Spanish 1 folder, a Spanish 2 folder, and add them into those folders. And then you'll be able to, once the management option is fully live, then do the different things with those assignments inside of the folders. So I can't demo that for you just now, but that's something that you'll be able to do. And in the meantime, you could, I would recommend using the assignment category feature to kind of, it serves as a label, like a ticket, sticker that you put on here. And so you could label your assignments for the different courses, and then you can filter by assignment category. And so if I had, I have a whole bunch of random ones that I make, but if I had, this one from last, and there's none there, I got rid of them. But you can filter by assignment category, and then you could see only the assignments for your, Spanish 1 class or your Spanish 2 class, and then go through and do that. You can also search by the title and the description. And so if you label all of your classes kind of consistently, you can go in and can type, so you could type in Spanish 1, and if you had everything labeled that way, then only those assignments would appear, and then you could go in and kind of assign them all to your class that you wanted to. I will also mention you can assign the same assignment to more than one class. Absolutely not a problem. You come in to your assign button, and when you're doing it the first time, you can select multiple classes, or you can see I assigned this to this class, and so now I'm going to assign it to a different class. I can go ahead and I can do that. The only thing is, if you're assigning it to more than one class at the same time, that the due date and due time has to be the same for both of those classes. So that's the only caveat if you do it at the same time. If you want different due dates, then I would recommend making the copies and having one per course that you can put those different due dates.
All righty, let's see. I answered that one. All right, as of now, that is all the questions in the Q&A. How are we doing on time? Do we have a few more minutes in case teachers want to submit?
Yeah, we can go ahead and share with you kind of our resources and things, and that might jog some questions that you have for the next couple of minutes. So we've got about 10 minutes left in the session. So we will go ahead and share those resources with you, and feel free if you have questions that they pop up to go ahead and put those in that Q&A while I'm reviewing this information. First off, thank you everybody for attending and for being with us today. And so beyond this session, if you would like to get additional support, and you might have that question, how can I get support? And so if you are a soft learner, if you are looking for an overview of the features, or if you have basic support questions, you have several different avenues to get that support. The first one is going to be to go to our KWL Hub support page, and you can see an example of that in the bottom right, what that looks like. It's linked on our website, and that includes step-by-step how-to articles. It's got a lot of information. It is the most up-to-date page with all of that type of information, and so that's always a great first place to go to. You can, of course, also reference our Getting Started Teacher Guide, and we have different sets of guides. So if you are a K-12 teacher versus a higher ed teacher, or if you have codes versus integration, we saw those different paths, and so we have different guides for you and also for your students. We have video tutorials, and we have our KWL Hub blog that I mentioned earlier. If you are looking for more tailored support when you are teaching, of course, don't forget that you can ask that chatbot, and I didn't show you that, but we can do that real quick. If I'm in the KWL Hub, you look for this icon here, and I click it, and I can ask it any question that I would like, and then it is going to give you the information that you need. It gives it a second to think, and then it will spit out the answer to that for you. And then our implementation team is also going to be offering one-on-one support this fall. So it starts September 15th and it runs through the end of October. We have our office hours. And so these are 15-minute slots where you can drop in and have one-on-one support with me or a member of my team and ask us anything that you need to ask us. So it could be about the platform, it could be about lesson planning, using the resources, activities, whatever it may be. So Matthew is going to drop the link to the sign up for that in the chat, so that you can sign up if that's something that you'd be looking forward to. You don't have to sign up now. Of course, you can wait till you're teaching and you see what questions you might have. And then, of course, if you need more in-depth support, if you need to troubleshoot, we have our amazing ed tech team ready to help you. And so you can reach out to them by filling out our customer support form, also available directly on our website. And this creates a ticket with them so that they can reach out to you and they can provide that support that you need. And just a note that we ask only teachers to fill out the customer support form. So if your student is experiencing an issue, for you as the teacher to please kind of submit it on their behalf to help them. And then some final reminders, if we don't have any more questions in the Q&A, that we didn't see this together, but as a reminder, you can impersonate your students. You do this directly from roster and then students, and then there will be a column that says impersonate. And this takes you directly into your student's account. And so it's a great way for you to help them troubleshoot. So if they say to you, you know, oh, I had access to the homework, but I don't anymore, or I don't see my book, or whatever it might be, you can say, all right, let's take a look. If they're on your roster and you can impersonate, then you're in your class. They've activated that class code if necessary. And then you can go in and you can see, did they activate a book access code? Do they have access to the correct book? What's going on? Let me show you how to find the homework. So that's a great tip. We love our chatbot, so always, you know, for you and for your students, it's there 24/7. You can get that immediate support. You will receive the recording and the slides from this session, so no worries about that. You can always revisit the information that we shared with you. And then our KWL team is here to support you and your students every step of the way. And so if there are no more questions, then I'm going to ask you all to please, if you have a minute or two, to fill out the survey. So you can scan the QR code, or Matthew will drop the link to the survey in the chat. And please let us know what you thought of this session, how it was. We appreciate your time and your feedback so that we can always make these sessions as best as possible and as tailored as possible to the needs of our teachers. So thank you so much. I'll leave this up on the screen. And Matthew, did we have any more questions come in?
No, I believe we answered all of them. I know we also wanted to mention that the teachers can get a certificate of attendance for the webinar, correct?
Yes. So if you need a certificate of attendance for the webinar, Matthew is going to put another link for you in the chat to fill that out, and then we can send that to you. Alrighty. Other than that, that is all that we had for you today. So if you have opened up the survey, then you are good to go. And if you don't have any other questions for us, we thank you very much for your time and your attention today. And you will be receiving the recording and the links to the slide within the next week or so. So be out on the look for those. We have additional platform training sessions running over the next 5 to 6 weeks or so. So feel free to sign up for another session. It'll be myself, Matthew, or a member of our implementation team or our customer success team. We are running these sessions. So we're very much here to support you. And we're wishing everybody a very seamless back to school season. So thank you very much and good afternoon.